Hello everyone. What you just heard was a arrangement of a CD track from Trojan Green Asteroid, one of Zun's music CDs. Uh, it's a very good track, and the arrangement I think is one of the best extra stage themes in Touhou fan games. But we are back with another week of TRS, and this week we have a bunch of survival runs to go through as usual. So let's get into it. I'm hoping that the OBS update didn't break anything, but yeah, we'll figure it out. Let's increase this volume a little. Oh, not that much. Alright, there we go. Let's check the first submission of the day. It's going to be a UFO normal survival run with Raymubi. Skip stage 1 and 2, and the comments just say it's my first UFO 1cc in normal mode. So, yeah, it's just a regular 1cc run, let's jump into it. So, Raymubi is not exactly the traditional survival shot for 1cc. It's not got very good damage, better than Sanai B, better than Sanai A, but certainly not ideal. But it has very strong homing capabilities, which makes stage sections a little bit easier, I suppose. So, if that's what you're really having problems with, then I can understand it. Fantasy Seal is also a decently powerful bomb that doesn't saddle you with a massive movement restriction, like Rainbow Ace does. But most people would generally consider Sanai B to be the definitive shot type for pretty much everything in this game, apart from like LMB, maybe. So this is a little unordinary, but not that much. It's just a very comfy homing shot that a lot of newer players also tend to prefer. There is a major issue with Raymubi in this game, and that is that the homing will often track and home onto. Don't think you wanted the blue there. The homing will often track and home onto pretty much like the UFO that you summon instead of stage enemies, and that means that you end up killing the UFOs by accident if you're not careful about it. If you're able to ensure there's enough items for the UFO to suck in just right off the bat when you summon it, then sure, that's not that much of an issue, but it is somewhat of an inconvenience that the nature of the... Oh, okay, that's a bit risky. The nature of the homing shot kind of, you know, it's just bound to happen. I'd go for... I guess the green's gonna run away anyway, so whatever. Okay, well, yeah, that's the wrong gap. Pick up the UFO tokens? No? I don't know why they didn't use that time to pick up the tokens. Were they scared of ramming into Ichirin? You can't actually die during dialogue. So there's really not much reason to be afraid there. I think Sisyphus is like the one exception, but there's like no reason not to pick up either of the tokens. During that brief pause before the spell triggered. Well, that's alright. Didn't quite get to pick up the tokens. If they went for it a little more, then they could have gotten both of them, but oh, okay, that's a bit risky. Yeah, you still need to be actively streaming. If you want to dodge inside the stream, then you better be good at dodging. And picking up the wrong token there means that they'll have to summon a rainbow again here, if they want any summons at all, which Yeah, frankly, just picking up a green here is fine. Set up for the next stage. 6 lives is a decent amount. They could have definitely summoned a couple more here and there, but can't fault them. This is a good pace for 1cc. And we're going to start seeing the effect of the weaker boss DPS probably soon. Though, to be frank, there is the argument to be made that for 1cc purposes, the spells that are doable are doable regardless of how long you drag on them, whereas the spells that you can't do, you're just gonna bomb past anyway, and in that aspect, the Fantasy Seal Bomb does take care of things fairly nicely. Reimu A is not a particularly popular shot type for 1cc because the bomb is very, very bad for trying to collect tokens, which you generally want to be using the bombs for. Since you get a really heavy movement speed restriction when you trigger the bomb there, but at the same time it's got the highest, no, not the highest, but it's got very, very high boss DPS, so it's generally more preferred for high-level survival runs, or challenge survival runs, I should say. Alright, looks like they kinda know what they're doing here. Okay, never mind. Almost capped it though, just needed to move down a little bit more on that wave there. The fist will align vertically based on your position, and there's actually, the hitboxes of the fist don't extend all the way to the middle of them, so if you can't dodge anywhere else, you can try to go between them. But in that case, they could have easily just misdirected the fist a little higher up or dodged downwards, and this is starting to be a... Yeah, you can see now the issue with the homing. You can't really pick what you want to kill. The game kind of picks it for you, so sometimes that just ends up happening, and that's really bad on the green summon, because when you fill up a green UFO, you get an entire bomb. Whereas if you just kill the green summon, then you get one bomb piece. It's really not comparable, and it's not gonna happen again. Alright, thankfully not. But by this point the red's already wandered off screen, so that's another couple of squandered summons. Could have picked up the red here? Yeah, go ahead. And this red as well? Ah, never mind, it bounced up. It's more important to just survive New Ball than picking up this token, understandably. But it's a waste to see this token just bounce away again. Alright, at least they got the one up. They at least knew what they were doing on New Ball, so that's fine. Okay, okay. That's... Oh no! Ah, that's not what you do. Oh. You can just stay in the middle here and you'll be safe, but pick up the green please. Oh my god. Alright, that's fine, that's fine. Please, please. Alright, no. Alright, this is something that a lot of, like, I see a lot of, like, 1cc players not doing, which is either bombing to get tokens, because, you know, it's worth it on sections like this, or, like, just not picking up blues when there's already a summon in place, because that lets you just clean up the blue without picking up by accident, which would be really bad when you're trying to summon and you've already picked up like 2 tokens. This is such a waste. That section that they just got 1 rainbow summon on, that's easily the most profitable section of the entire game. Like, you can get so many summons done there, and you can get so many resources out of it, and they got nothing. They have a lot of resources still, but this is UFO. They're gonna spend a lot of them on bombing the bosses probably. So it's just a huge shame to see that they're not taking advantage of it. But again, they did pretty much perfect survival on that stage there. So I can't really fault them too much on that. They didn't waste any resources on the stage section. 1 bomb, but they probably didn't know how to do that section anyway. So let's see how they do Murasa. They seem to have pretty good boss performance on Ichirin, so maybe don't make up for it like that, but... Alright. That's the easy part. So the non-spells are all static regardless of difficulty. I should say the pattern itself is static, but the boss movement is random, as is the case with many static-ish patterns in Touhou. Being this low, I guess it's fine. The waves don't spawn nearly fast enough to overlap, so you have a lot of time to just position yourself correctly. That's a bit spooky though. Yeah, it's still nice to be vertically aligned with Murasa. Alright, final non is usually the tricky one. If there's any non to be not confident on, it'd be this one. And yeah, they probably should have moved up to make the dodging easier, but it's normal mode. The waves aren't dense enough for that to be a necessity, so that's alright. Yeah, that's Ghost Ship. I guess it's Phantom Harbor on normal, but not good. Let's see how they do this survival. There is a well-known four-corner strategy for this spell on Lunatic, but the rate of teleportation is different on normal, such that just performing the four-corner strategy doesn't actually work out that well. So you need to do variations of it. Not like that! Okay, never mind. Yeah, they're definitely not very confident of dodging this spell, it seems. They're gonna have to bomb again. No? Alright, that's a good escape. That's just the wrong direction completely, but never mind, they got away with it. It looks like they might be very unconfident with dodging at the top part of the screen, and I can understand that. Newer players tend to be afraid of having to dodge bullets behind them. Almost picked up the wrong token there. Come on, summon the green. There we go. Are you gonna... Okay, good. Ooh! Alright, the dodging is good. The dodging is good, but I would summon more... I guess they don't want to summon reds anymore. Alright, they're not gonna get any summon out of this part, but at least they've killed off the red and blue UFO fairy. Okay, that's fine. Pick that up. Okay. No summons here, but they're missing the tokens to do that. What common thing about this run so far, they've let a lot of tokens just wander off screen, which it's alright. You don't need that many summons in a 1cc if you can do decent survival. And this is where the homing is really shining, where they are taking care of these stage sections fairly well, and they know what they're doing, mind you. It's not like the homing is carrying the stage sections for them. They know how to dodge. But I would pick up the tokens here. What are they doing? I don't understand why they're letting the tokens run away during boss dialogue, even mid-boss dialogue. The break is there, just take advantage of it and just pick up a token or two. Ah well, let's see how they do on GT. GT on normal is not too intimidating, it's actually not that dense, but sometimes you get bad RNG like, oh okay, that's an interesting gap to take. This way's fine. Alright, that's fine. But they could have already summoned here if they just picked up like a token from earlier. Which, I mean, that's just cutting resources, really. Like, the more tokens you miss, the more resources you're missing out on. And I guess it could be something of being afraid to be aggressive for tokens after dying too many times, but... Oh, hey! Okay, that's a bit scary. Alright, let's see how they do on show. This is a decent amount of resources, so they just need to do... I wouldn't say they even need to do well, because they can still get good summons on stage 6, but they just need to do decently on show in order to get enough resources for a comfortable Byakuran. But again, oh, never mind. I was about to say that they know what they're doing, but this is not exactly a very easy spell, regardless. Alright, second non. This is still tricky. And the 3 power is not helping. With an already weaker shot like Reimubi, that power loss is only going to make an even bigger difference. I guess the homing can help here. Though, it probably doesn't surprise any of you that the... needed to move a little bit more than that there, but it probably doesn't surprise any of you that... Oh, ethical, okay. The most of the damage from a homing shot tends to come from the main shot itself, which is to say that the 2 amulet lanes that Reimu's firing off that go straight ahead, that constitutes a good percentage of the damage that you're actually dealing. In some homing shots, it constitutes the majority of the damage that you're dealing. So, even if a homing shot is a homing shot by technicality, if you want to actually do damage with it, especially to bosses or tough enemies, usually you still have to align yourself horizontally with them. So, the Vajra earlier, that's a very nice Vajra, and homing definitely helps there because Vajra itself already has very little health to begin with. But let's see how the CC goes. Oh! Almost. Yeah, the Edena run is from Rule 163. Anything of it? Was there a request that wasn't, like, changed? I don't believe so. Ah! The token ran away! the summon ran away. Oh no. No! They could have absolutely killed the UFO while filling it up if they just killed off a bunch of fairies on the side, but I guess they were afraid of moving. Oh no, the useful resources are on the left. The homing will kill it eventually, but... Oh no, it's not this one. Are they going to get another summon off at all? It's a no. 4-2 is fine, but they're one bomb piece away from the next one. 4-1. Man, that sucks. Could be worse, could be a lot worse, and this is still a lot of resources. 8 bombs, 9 bombs actually. That should be more than enough for Byakuran, assuming without completely fucking up. And they seem to actually know how to dodge many of the boss patterns to begin with, so this should still be a pretty comfortable 1cc. But it is a lot of lost resources. Let's see how they do Omen. Tends to be a fairly challenging spell on Lunatic. Well, not fairly challenging, a very challenging spell on Lunatic, but on normal the density is much lower, and you're only at risk of awkward overlaps like that, so, eh. Understandable bomb there. Second non is very tame on normal. You just need to dodge that aimed laser wave, and that's about it. Alright, Magic Butterfly, Makai Butterfly on normal. This is static regardless of difficulty, so it's not a very difficult spell regardless. Alright. Then third non is actually very tricky for a normal. Something about the density of this is just very uncomfortable and can sometimes lead to very awkward walls. Like that! Okay, well, that's fine. 3 lives left. For the rest of the Byakuran fight should be enough. This is a non-spell that Reimu B should have an advantage on. But we know that they're very uncomfortable with dodging at the top of the screen. Okay, that's good. That's good dodging. That's good dodging. But 3 power, and they're gonna have to go another round then. Okay, not like that, not like that. Oh, that's very uncomfortable. Almost got clipped there. They got it. Not bad. Not bad at all. DR. DR on normal, it's quite dense for a normal spell. That's not the height you want to be at. They almost ran into the arrowheads there. Not the gap I would have picked, but okay. It's fine so far. Alright, this is the challenging part. Alright, nice. Superhuman, or, well, I guess Air Scroll on normal. Another spell where Reimu B technically has an advantage, but realistically, Forward Focus Shot can deal a lot of damage regardless, and kill this in a sizable number of waves. This is probably a slower kill than the Forward Focus, I'll be honest. But you get to be safe while still dealing some damage like this, so that's fine. There should be a kill by the next wave. Dodging's a little bit stiff there, but that's alright. Flying Fantastica for the final. I mean, at this point the 1cc is absolutely secured. But let's see if they can cap this. The boss performance this entire run has been absolutely fantastic for a 1cc. Like, they've capped a lot of stuff that I would not really expect a 1cc player to cap. But that's good. And the Reimu B pick here is clearly helping them just be more comfortable on the stage sections, which, if your boss performance is this good, then it's absolutely an understandable choice. Very nice cap there, and GG's. Generally speaking, there's a couple routes to a 1cc in general. Either you abuse the resource system and, like, just dump your resources on difficult parts of the game to steamroll your way to a clear, or you actually dodge really well like this. So, yeah. Very, very comfortable 1cc here. I would easily say that they can handle a higher difficulty than this. Okay, maybe not UFO hard per se, but maybe if they use this level of dodging and they learned like how to really get good summons out of the stage sections. And if they use something like Sanai B, which has very, very good performance on a 1cc and can really do those summons well, then I think a UFO Heart 1cc is probably within reach for them. Like, maybe not immediately, but with some effort they could probably do it. And easily this level of dodging can be applied to other games' normal survivals and probably clear easily. Like, I don't know how they didn't specify, and I don't know like what other 1cc this player has done, but for a first UFO 1cc on normal, this is very, very good. So well done there. But we're gonna move on to our next run first. Our next run is going to be a Syphis normal no release run. So let's go ahead and check that. Wait, hang on. Yeah, it's just no release. They actually requested that I commentate this, which is unusual, but I appreciate it. Usually people just want Gastari to commentate this stuff, and it's understandable, you know. He's a very enthusiastic commentator. Alright, let's have a look here. Default skips. Notes say it'd be great if I commentated it. Can be disappointed in exactly how it was done. Okay. And alright, normal no release 1cc that had some mistakes that could have been avoided simply by occasionally spending a credit in the actual game instead of wasting 2 months solely on stage practice. Well, it's really just your practice mindset, I'd say. But actually performing runs is something that can help you gain insight into like how you're actually going to perform in a credit, because it's easy to just like, you know, be doing practice runs forever and being like, oh, I'll do this strat here, I'll do that strat there. But when you actually come down to performing those strats, you might forget it in an actual run, and you might need to like realize, oh, I need to actually like learn this, or I need to practice this more. That kind of stuff is something you can only really glean from an actual run when there's like actual stakes on the line, as compared to just practice. But let's get into it. It's a no release run, which for Syphis is a very crippling condition. Releases constitute the entirety of your PIV gain in this game. So let me show the game real quick. Alright. Yeah, I'll be completely honest when I say that I don't really appreciate when commentators just like wander off and talk about something else entirely during a run. Which Gastari is very prone to doing, but it's also understandable because he's been doing it for so long that at some point it's going to get very repetitive and drab for him to like just keep talking about the game over and over. But yeah, it's why I try to, you know, stick to the commentary. But again, back to Syphis. No release means that you're not getting any PIV out of the entire game. You only get PIV by cancelling bullets of releases in this game. So the only lives that you're getting are the lives that you can get from collecting 10,000 point items and point items worth only 10,000 and spell card bonuses. And power items once you're at full power as well. That ends up being not a lot of power. That ends up not being a lot of score. You get significantly lower score, generally speaking, on a no release run compared to regular 1cc's. So this is going to have a limited number of lives. Now, mind you, Syphis still gives you a lot of lives, and you can easily still reach the 100 mil extend, if not the 250 mil extend. But the 500 mil extend and the billion extend are completely out of reach for this. So we will see how they perform. But so far it looks like they actually know what they're doing on the boss patterns, which you would expect from a no release run. Just, you know, this is no miss no bomb pace so far. his surface easy, normal. His surface early game on normal is very tame, so it's not that surprising. But we're gonna see how the rest of the run goes. This is okay. You can do this at the top of the screen, but if you're not comfortable with doing that and doing the transition back down to the bottom, then this is alright. It's not that dense anyway. Alright, this is just streaming, so that's fine. So, Rainbow Winter is a very good pick for a survival shot for this category, because you're not releasing anyway, the winter release is not fantastic. It's usable for 1cc, but it's not fantastic, but it's very good for no release purposes because it's actually a powerful sub-shot. The alternative is fall, and definitely not spring or summer, because those also mean you have to face the spring and summer finals, which, even on normal, are extremely overtuned and very stupid. So, you know, good survival shot pick. And mistakes happen here and there. But you know, from how this run is going so far, I would totally expect this to be a no bomb no release run, not a no release only run. If the death was kind of out of nowhere, so that's understandable. But that is a lot of bombs down the drain if you were actually going for just no release. But also understandable that sometimes you get achievements that it's something like, you know, you start off doing a no bomb no release run and then you die too many times and you realize, oh, this is no chance of clearing unless I bomb, that kind of thing. So maybe it's that, I'm not entirely sure yet, we'll see. The rest of the stage is going just fine though. It's Reimu helps a lot in this game with the stage sections. It's a case where the homing is actually very powerful and very useful, which is rare, but Reimu gets a very nice break here. The final part of the stage section is the difficult one. Let's see how they do. They know what they're doing. Streaming, well, a bomb is fine. But they were on the right track there, just needed to do a couple more streams, but if you're not comfortable with it, then don't do it, just bomb, that's safe. Alright, Narumi's non-spells all have a safe spot on their head, but it's a small safe spot that will be actively moving, so if you're not comfortable with that, don't do it. This first spell has a safe spot that's also on the head, but it's very precise and not worth it unless you really want to avoid dodging this on Lunatic. Why did you bomb there? That was... you were fine. That's alright. I actually don't understand that bomb. You already dodged the wave. Maybe you misread the situation? Oh well. Second non is easy. And then we have Bullet Golem, which is a little unnerving. But that's fine. Yeah, that should be an easy cap. Move up, then move through this wave. Yeah, and then that's a cap. Move under Narumi, please. What? Hello? You could have finished this off like 5 seconds earlier, but never mind. That's alright. That's in Narumi, Naruko. Actually, no, her name is Narumi. But yeah, Naruko is an early name that Zun forgot to change the top left corner text for. And hello Morph. Thanks for the raid. Why is homing Reimu firing a laser? That's the sub shot, which is what you use to... You see the gauge at the bottom left corner? That's used to either get sub shots, which Winter Subshot is a laser, or you spend them and accordingly spend your subshots in order to perform a release, which will cancel bullets. But yeah, that's still a very nice performance on the stake section. Only one bomb and one bomb on the stake section, one death, and then one bomb on the boss fight itself is very, very good pace. And with this amount of knowledge, like, it's clear that you know what you're doing. The note said that you practiced this game for like months, 2 months, which honestly, with this amount of resources, you can just roll your way to a clear, just dumping the resources, but it's alright. You'll probably do very well in the rest of the game anyway. This is one of the games where there's definitely a lot of sections which are rough when you're encountering them like blind or close to blind. But the more you get used to them, the easier it gets, and it really shows here. Alright, homing's gonna help a lot here again. Yeah, it doesn't aim on normal. On easy and normal, the bullets just fall straight down, which is very easy. And this is very nice misdirecting. The 6 section's going to end. Yep, good. Yeah, that's fine. This is a strat. There's multiple ways of doing this. But if you're confident with that tapping strat, then it's absolutely very stable. Personally, I like to try to stick within like a vertical gap, like a vertical column, because it's much more obvious on normal than it is on other difficulties. But there is the weird quirk on normal where the bullets are slow enough that they swerve violently back around the screen, and if you're not careful with that, you could get hit by one of those. It's kind of funny. Alright, this section is just aimed, generally. And the homing helps a lot here. Without homing, this section gets a lot messier. Or, I guess spread, because Cherno can kind of kill the orbs here. Very clean. Nicely done. Alright, now we come to the real difficulty of the game, Dancers onwards. It's just do whatever strat you're comfortable with on that mid-non, honestly. Dancers have very awkward patterns in general. Their bullets like to swerve back and forth and move in very erratic paths that can be difficult to predict and determine. But once you learn their patterns, it's really not too difficult. The non-spells are not that much of a challenge, and the spell cards like that one earlier are easy enough to do. Basically, the non-spells fall into moving within the lanes. It's not that obvious if you're looking like at the whole screen, but if you're looking specifically at a sort of path that's carved out by the amulets, then that's actually just a very nice overlapping path for you to take. This is the easier version of the second spell, because the alternative is a random mess. A random mess that you're about to see in the next spell after this one, but this one is just all aimed. So Reimu can absolutely just slowly stream and take that out. But if you have to, with other shots for instance, you can do a restream by making a large movement to the right side and then moving back to the left. And this is what I mean by a path. It's much easier to see here, but that sort of path exists on all of the non-spells. And this is the mess. The blue stars move completely randomly for what we know, and it's very difficult to determine where they're gonna go. That's unfortunate. Should have bombed, honestly, but way too many resources. So I'm really not gonna call that out. Final here, the lasers are one straight and one is curved. If you don't want to deal with awkward laser angles, then being underneath the boss on the right side, which is Mai, that will help. But being on the right or left side, it's really personal preference, and it's not too difficult or normal. There's not really any awkward overlaps to the point where like you're actually in a very difficult position. I can understand why you got hit there, but for 1cc, this isn't a 1cc, you have way too many resources anyway, but generally if you're going to bomb, then by the time you get into a dangerous situation like that, it's alright to just bomb early anyway. Oh, nice death bomb. There's no need to prolong your bomb that much, because the bomb will take care of most of the spell anyway, and even if the spell were to linger after you bomb, it wouldn't be for that much longer because, you know, the screen's cleared out. The density here is really not to be underestimated. You have to focus somewhat in order to actually dodge this section. And it's very bad when you're playing a very weak shot, but we're fine here. 5 Death Fairies here that will each drop a bomb piece. But they're tanky, but this shot is strong enough to kill them all comfortably. If you're playing a weak shot, they will linger on screen forever, and then you have problems. Weak shots in this game, for the main character, that would be Cherno or Aya. Both have very weak shot types that do fairly little damage. And for the sub shot, it would be Spring or Summer. Both do next to nothing. Cherno Summer is basically fully spread options, but as you can expect from a spread shot, it does really no damage when you're not shotgunning, so Cherno Summer is generally considered to be a very bad shot type for this game. But yeah, Rainbow Spring is the one that's actually very bad at stage 6, Yin Yang's at the opener, because you take way too long to kill any of the enemies, and that means that they get to fire for much too long and clutter the screen. It's even worse on Lunatic, where the bullets are actually very fast and dangerous. But back to the boss fight. Okina's first known is easy. This spell, they know what they're doing, so it's fine. Okina moved left, which actually makes the pattern easier, so that's good. And we're off to the Boab non-spells. This one's easy. Some people say that the bullets blend into the background. I don't really see it myself, but it's not a particularly difficult pattern to begin with. Then we have RNG bullshit. Sometimes this can wall you, even on normal. But it's looking very, very easy, very fine right now, so that's a nice cap. Then another Boab non. I mean, this run is well in the bag by now. Even if you were to not bomb at any point from this point on, like, you clearly know what you're doing. So 2 months of practice was probably extreme overkill, but you'll probably, if you wanted to go for it, you'll probably get a no bomb no release run easily. Understandable bomb there, but what you needed to do was weave through the fireball wave on the left side before moving over to the right side. Otherwise that happens. I saw that coming from a mile away. You have to somewhat dodge between the kunai lanes there, otherwise that happens. Snowman is very tough even on normal. Oh my god, that's a wall! Nice. Not that. Could have moved back to the middle. Alright, Snowman is dumb on normal, so I understand that absolutely. And this non, you very obviously want to follow the lanes here on normal. Alright. Finally, April, no, what was it called again? April Wizard, that's right. Bottom strat. I don't recommend the bottom strat. I recommend that you stay high, like basically shotgunning Okina here, and then moving up and above Okina to the right or left side, depending on which is less dense, and moving back down before she fires off the next wave. But oh well, you have way too many resources anyway, so it doesn't matter. The finals are generally much more difficult than everything else in the game. Even on normal, I would consider this to be like easily hard territory, if not like lunatic. So let's see how you do. Even the easiest ones like this, Extreme Winter, they are very dense, so we'll see, we'll see. I mean, getting hit once because you were dodging between the waves is understandable, but evidently it didn't work out, and oh, that's a really bad death. Yeah, I can see that you're getting overwhelmed here. Maybe the no bomb no release is a little further out of reach than I thought, but yeah, this is not an easy spell by any means. It's one of the easiest of the 4 final spells, but it is not at all simple. Alright. And that is a very, very well practiced no release run. GG. Oh yeah, it's not 100 mil, it's 150 mil. I would say that it is actually fairly feasible to hit the 150 mil extend. But I'm not exactly sure of the score amounts on normal. And you did fail a lot of spells and not proc like a lot of stage sections, so there were a lot of points here and there that you missed, but I mean, for the purposes of a no release run that you have clearly practiced way too much for, then, you know, this is much, much too well done. You hate the release mechanics, so you choose not to use it? Well, I would say that you can easily do hard from this point on, especially if you want to use the release mechanic. The fall release is very comfortable to use. The winter release, you can just plop it on top of the boss and then just back off at the start of a pattern. You know, that kind of stuff is very easy to do and doesn't take that much more effort and helps you take care of a bunch of patterns for literally no cost. So a hard 1cc is easily within reach. You cleared 5 lives, for fuck's sake! Like, this is not like somebody struggling. You are more than well practiced, so more than 1 month is still overkill. Like, look at this run. You cleared comfortably. So if you want like to push yourself to do something more in this game, more of a challenge, then go to hard, I'd say. Like, you can easily do that at this point. Alright, we're gonna move to our next run now. It's EOSD hard survival with Rainbow B. So a very standard EOSD hard 1cc, I'd say. Let's have give me a second, I'll switch over the run info and then we'll check the run notes. But I believe this person's run, this person's actually watching right now as well. I saw their name in the viewer list earlier. Wait, what am I doing? Their name isn't USD. Hard survival. Alright. It's Benny. Alright. Scene. Okay. Alright, let's check the run notes. I decided to do this run when I was told on a previous submission that I should be able to do EOSD with default starting lives. I think I remember that run. If I remember correctly, you cleared that run with extra starting lives, but you brought all of those lives, like you brought 7 lives into Ramilia. No, you brought 7 lives into stage 6 and proceeded to die so many times that you actually cleared with 0-0. Which was hilarious, but also unnerving. Anyway, but it had been about 10 months since that run had actually been performed, so I decided to bump up the difficulty. It's still a pretty rough run with some really silly mistakes that probably should not have happened, but I'm pretty proud of it nonetheless. Let's see. Skips are default, so we'll skip through the first 3 stages as usual, and let's see how this goes. Now, EOSD normal to hard is, I believe that people generally consider it to be a fairly rough transition. There's quite a bump up in the difficulty of the stage sections and patterns. Whereas hard to lunatic is really not that much harder. So the routes that need to be developed for the stage sections need to be generally a lot more refined than you'd be able to get away with on normal. And I mean, their previous run brought 7 lives into Ramilia. Like, 7 lives into stage 6. Like, that's way too many for a 1cc. So let's see how they do. Alright, misdirecting Cherno's first non. That's fine. Wait, when did they use up all their bombs already? I don't even know this. That's a little unsettling. Oh, they didn't grab the Dynasty bomb. Did they? I don't remember where they bombed earlier. We're fast forwarding the replay right now, so the game will appear sped up. I mean, it is sped up, but I'll stop fast forwarding once we reach stage 4, because that's the main meat of the game, per se. Let's see if they can get through the mailing fight no bomb though. It's not easy. Looks like the RNG's pushed them into the corner there briefly. Very nice. That's no misplace in the stage 4, which is very good for a 1cc, I would say. And again, it just looks like they know what they're doing. Yeah, this is very well practiced, it's evident. The routes are okay, maybe not this part, but the routes are generally very well done. For the aim parts of this stage section, on normal you can macro stream them and that's fine. On hard you can still macro stream them, but I would actually recommend starting to micro stream, because once you start moving up to lunatic, and for the later half of the stage section, macro streaming is not really an option anymore. You don't have that much space. and the aim components become way too wide for that. So okay, that's expected. But yeah, I would recommend just starting to practice micro streaming those aim. That's not good. Wait, hang on. Why is the bomb counter invisible? Huh? No, did they set this to? Did they set themselves to 0 starting bombs? Okay, okay then. That is significantly more challenging then. That is significantly more challenging. This is a no bomb run then, yeah. Unless you pick up like the stage 5, stage 4. No, this. Unless you pick up and use Sakuya's bomb from stage 6, then this is going to be a no bomb run. Alright. That's a nice surprise. But the default amount of bombs is 3 if you somehow miss the memo. Oh! Almost didn't get the kill in time, but very nicely done. Yeah, deliberately dodging the bomb, it has to be intentional. I mean, to go from normal 1cc submission to a hard no bomb is quite the jump, but a welcome one. Alright, Berry Lake is not too challenging on hard, per se. The bubble movement is not that exaggerated yet, and I say that. Alright, non-spell should not be particularly challenging, especially when they're routed out. Oh, not exactly how I would do that, but Greenstorm is surprisingly overwhelming to read sometimes, but nice cap. Lunate Elf. What am I saying, Lunate Elf? Water Elf. Her movement is not cooperating. But the spell should be over soon. Okay, that's a very, very sketchy dodge. Nicely done. Mercury Poison. Max rank Mercury Poison, so this should be well practiced. And finally, Megalith. Megalith on hard does not have the diagonal bubbles, only Lunatic has them. But this is still not to be underestimated. Very nice! Now that I know that this is a no bomb run, 5 lives into stage 5 is... it's fine, it's fine. But if that's the case, then the accidental death, the death on Koakuma becomes a lot worse by comparison. Oh no, 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 no! Okay, not punished yet. Sometimes if you don't kill the wall fairies fast enough, then they will, they will wall you, but it looks like on hard it's not quite dense enough, and I think they probably got a bit lucky in the fact that there was a clear path out of that. Ethical mid-non. Let's see if they know how to do charming misdirection. Yeah. Oh no, fuck. Alright, never mind. That's not how you do charming misdirection, for the record. You can actually stay near the middle and still do a fair amount of damage. And not have to worry about and panic dodge a bunch of walled up bouncing kunai right next to you. Oh god, fuck. I hit my keyboard, sorry. I mean, it's understandable, yes. Charming misdirection has a lot more complexity than literally a streaming pattern, but... Oh, you didn't know that was going to happen? Okay. Alright, that's nice dodging on the first non there. I suppose that most of the strats that you use on normal can be adapted to hard without much issue. There's just gonna be a few bits and pieces here that actually, yeah, in context that makes sense for the macro streaming on stage 4. And from the dodging that was done in that run, in the earlier submitted run, that dodging level was way above a normal 1cc. So a hard no bomb dodging like this is probably still a little above that, I would be honest. Oh my god, ah! That's unfortunate RNG, but there was a bit of a way out on the left, just needed a... Honestly, just needed to move a bit more to the left there. No, no, no! Oh! Okay, okay, just killed it in time, but... That was starting to wall. Alright, final here, killing doll. Oh my god, those backward knives. This is not comfortable. Nice dodge. Very nice, that's a really good camp of KD there. Alright, stage 6. Now, I will reiterate, the last run they submitted was a normal 1cc that got to Remilia with like 7 lives, with bombs, and then proceeded to die and bomb so many times that they cleared with 0-0. Like, it was not even an intentional throw, they actually just, like, died a lot. So, let's see how much they've improved on this stage compared to back then. Four lives is a little bit sketchy for Remilia specifically, but with some good dodging, it's absolutely still dope. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Why? That oh my god! Didn't kill it. Yeah, a bit too slow for mix spot. It's alright, it's alright. 3 lives is still doable with a good enough familiar. So let's see. Yeah, Mika's a very fast and random pattern that sometimes can wall you, so no one likes dodging it. But if you're not very well practiced at the Meek spot, then any hesitation in getting into the spot is going to be fatal like that. Alright, second nun's going fine so far, and that was a clean cap on YDL as well, so no issues there. That was a Needle Mountain. I believe that they actually died to this on their normal 1cc. No, not the gap I would have picked. For a no bomb level run, that death is a little less forgivable. I mean, still a tough pattern, but there are a bunch of dice rolls coming up that needs to all go well or dodge very well for this run to go through now. It's not just SG and SM. VI is absolutely going to be a threat as well, so they did. They cleared it. So 2 lives left for SG and SM, and that is going to be a bit sketchy. As a whole, this is a huge improvement from the normal 1cc, but they're a lot easier than they are on Lunatic, yes, but it's like, this is not a Lunatic 1cc, or this is not a Lunatic no bomb run. And no damage, wrong way, no! Alright. No, oh my god, nice dodge. Oh my god, no, wrong way. Wrong way again. Oh my god, nice cap. That wasn't a cap, but nice kill. Okay, good cancel. Ugh. Oh my god, no. What was that dodge? Okay. I will admit that this bubble wave is a lot easier to handle on hard than Lunatic, but let's see how the rest of this goes. They're getting good RNG actually. No? Ooh. I thought I was gonna solve right into them. Ah! Oh no. Should be enough damage to clear. A bit more aggressive with the shooting. There we go. Oh my god, what was that? Oh, don't give me a heart attack, please. GG. Very nice hard no bomb run. Yeah. A bit scary at the end, a few mistakes here and there that, I mean, in the context of a no bomb run specifically, those mistakes do end up being silly, but very, very nicely done. Like, even if it's just a couple months, that improvement from the normal 1cc to this is already astounding, and if you didn't even really, like, know what to expect from the game, that's even more impressive. Now, it's said, generally, that EOSD hard to Lunatic is not a very big jump in difficulty, and I actually do kind of agree with that. Near the late game, obviously, it's a lot more overtuned, and there are a bunch of bullshit patterns, but generally speaking, a lot of the strats that you would develop for hard can be adapted to Lunatic without much issue. I would say that with this level of dodging, a Lunatic 1cc is easily attainable. Like, if you can do hard no bomb, you can do Lunatic 1cc. If you want to go for that, then I'm looking forward to it. Hell, like whatever achievement you want to go for next, I'll be looking forward to, because this is some pretty impressive stuff that you've got. You just need to do a bit more routing on stage 4 and 5, because those are the two specific stages where the routing changes dramatically between difficulties, or rather, the routing becomes a lot more tight between difficulties. But apart from that, everything else that you've got, that will work. Like, that will actually work for Lunatic, so... Yeah. That's a very, very nicely done run there, and... Two very impressive submissions so far that I've watched. We're gonna move on to our next run now. I believe it should be a Moth LMB. The rest of our stream is going to be LMBs and higher, so let's get on with that. This is by Terracat. The note just says, "I'm sobbing, sob emoji. I'm sorry if to replay these things, sob emoji." I don't think that Moth replays really desync like in the middle out of nowhere. It's already well known that if you save a second replay for Moth, any replay that you save past the first one for Moth for any run is going to desync, because of some shitty coding, I assume. But I don't think it should really desync halfway through, so we'll see if it does desync. We'll work it through. Alright, it's Lunatic LMB. I'll type it out. The shot type is Rainbow B, as expected. One miss? Well, place your bets on where this one misses then. You don't remember which one you sent. Alright, then you can guess on your own replay, I guess. Before we watch this, well, let's just place our bets on where this one miss is. But personally, I'm gonna go with Source of Rains. You remember where the miss is? Somewhere stupid like stage 2? Maybe, but the submission note says that we can skip the stage 4, so let's get into it. And yeah, don't spoil your own replay. Now, for those of you who don't know, Terragat is a LNN level player, so I'm not entirely surprised that they submitted a one miss run to TRS. Oh fuck, the game's not yeah, sorry. Blah. Yeah, you don't need me to show the stage 1, do you? So, Moth LMV, as a run, has difficulty points that come from stage 3 onwards. Stage 3 is a bit early, yes, but Optical Camouflage is a very stupid spell, so... yes, stage 3's mid-boss spell is the first main difficulty point of this game, but earlier points in the game on the wrong shot types can also be very challenging. On Hina's final specifically is very bad on weaker shot types. And Spin the Cephalic Plate, Notorious Final, can also be quite difficult on weaker shot types as well. Especially in non-homing ones. Let's actually watch this Optical Camouflage so that you can see just how stupid this can be. Alright, nice cap. But yeah, you can kind of imagine that if you get into the wrong lane and the fireballs just kind of wall you in, you're just screwed. There's like, you have to be very active at reading ahead there, and then it's kind of overtuned for its place in the game, but you know. Yeah, if she moves down, it gets very bad. And this is spin the Sapphire Plate. With a strong shot type, you can kill this in a decent number of waves, but if you are a weak shot type, then it can sometimes overwhelm you. You give it more chance to overwhelm you as well. In the 30 seconds while you learn the essay, it's like nearly identical, so yeah. Alright, stage 4 itself, until the mid-boss is mostly just streaming, so I'm gonna go grab some water, be right back. Alright. So, like I said, the first part of the stage section is mostly just streaming. There was a little bit of random dodging there, but it's not that dense. The main difficulty comes here. Momiji is a very tough mid-boss, because this non-spell is... I mean, just look at it. But you actually want to time this non-spell down. It's a really tough non-spell, but you still want to time it down, because if you kill it too quickly, then the stage section that comes right afterwards is going to be even more overwhelming. Now, because of the timing down or slower kill, they actually skipped most of it, but that would have resembled a waterfall section from earlier, but even denser, or rather even faster, and you have to do a very awkward restream or restreams in order to get through that part if you killed it too quickly. So timing down Momiji at least a little bit is going to help tremendously. Yes, Aya survival is PL Spin, correct. The rest of the stage there's nothing really to remark on, and then we move on to the Aya fight. Aya has a few pain points. Obviously the aforementioned Peerless Wind God is the main one, but sometimes Storm Day can also give a very stupid wave. So let's see what happens. First spell sometimes can be very bad RNG as well, but I would say relatively rarer. No, this is not comfortable! What the fuck? Well, let's see how the Storm Day goes then. That was kind of one of the worst first spells I've ever seen. Alright, that's an awkward wave, but it's fine. Nice. After this third non, which is very easy, we're gonna move on to the PWG now. Very short survival, but a very overwhelming one regardless. Right side? Alright. RNG's decent so far. Oh, okay. Nice. And the final is comparatively much tamer, so we're gonna be entering stage 5, unless the death is to this, which I doubt, but we're gonna be moving on to stage 5 now, and stage 5 as a whole is considered a breather stage, because there is like no real difficulty to stage 5. There is one. On Sanae, her second spell, which is Moses' Miracle. That can sometimes be a very awkward pattern, but generally speaking, this is not a particularly difficult stage. The stage section itself can be awkward, but that's exactly what routing is for, and at LNN level play, because this is a failed LNN, basically, you will be routing the stages. And you will be routing them extensively. Yo, Moses Miracle strat is being a psychopath and being ultra aggressive. If you're comfortable with it, then sure. Alright, Sanai mid-boss now, and the opening here is static. And this spell is static as well. Rest of the stage is just static fairies with aim bullets, so there really shouldn't be anything surprising. And yes, that is the last one up in the game, so 8 lives is the maximum that you can get in Moth. Yeah, stage 4 is generally such a killer on LMB pace that it's always nice to see this. Well, let's see how the Sanai fight goes. I said that only Moses was much of a challenge, but you really can't underestimate anything. The first non, for instance, can wall you. Generally you can read the walls and get out of the way in time, but sometimes it walls you, and there's not much you can do about that. Thankfully it didn't wall them there, but if you want to see an example of a wall, then go and watch TWC. It happened multiple times. Specifically TWC 2020... What was it? Which one was it again? I don't remember. I think it was the first one. Anyway, here's Moses Miracle. I mean, this is comfortable, yeah. That was a very quick Moses. And then this spell is static. Nice. And the final here is very easy routing. Dying to pen out on pace. Alright, that's the stage 6 entry on LNN pace, which means that we've narrowed down the miss to somewhere in stage 6. Let's see where it is. I still think it's going to be to Source of Rains because, you know, it's just a stupid spell, but the stage section itself is not much to write home about until the very end of it, where we will see that those aimed fuzzballs earlier transition into a very rough random spam death fairy in the middle of the screen, and if you're not well prepared for it, it can absolutely snipe you with a random pellet that may or may not wall you. Spooky, but that's fine. Nice. And that is entering Kanako. Kanako has several pain points, but none of them really kick in until about halfway through the fight. The first non is challenging, but at LNN level they should be able to read this comfortably and dodge accordingly. First spell on Bashara Dance is extremely simple. It's just aimed and then you do a wide restream here to make sure that the aim rings don't, you know, wall you. Second non is just left-right tapping. Why is this on Lunatic? And second spell, Divine Crop, is actually somewhat scary because these pellets actually spot the hitbox of the jelly beans they transformed from. So it's a little tighter than you think. Still not too challenging, but something to be aware of. Third non here is Routed. Then Yamato Taurus. Yes, Rainbow Box helps a lot. If you're unaware, Reimu's hitbox in this game is a 2 pixel radius, whereas Mercer's is a 3 pixel... what was it again? Wait, I forgot, fuck. Yeah, Reimu is 4x4 and Mercer is 7x7, so it makes a big difference. Anyway, this non-spell is easy. I say that. Sometimes you randomly get sniped if you're not paying attention, but that's not the case. Now, Source of Rains. Again, the transforming property comes into play here. All of these pellets and arrowheads support the hitbox of the fireballs that they transform from. If it decides that you want to die, if it decides that you will wall, then it will wall you. But that didn't really happen here, so that is not going to be a Source of Rains miss. It's going to be... Fog? Virtue of Wind God is... The Amulet Walls are something that you generally want to macro dodge. But at some point, especially on Lunatic, you will have to micro some of these walls like they did earlier. Or you can do very aggressive macro dodging to avoid having to micro dodge. Let's see, because the main difficulty of the spell is really from this point onwards. Okay, nice macro dodging. Ah! Ah! Oh my god, that micro. That sucks. So that was a death because they dashed a little bit too early, like probably just half a second too early there. It's not an easy spell by any means, and you actually pretty much knew what to do already, but yeah, that sucks. Still a very, very nicely done one miss, and not that much bad RNG per se, but you know, consistent, very consistent, and I don't know if you already gotten it, I'll be honest, but it's just something that you just grind for a little bit and you'll probably get it, like that kind of thing. VOWG is definitely a very difficult spell, even by today's standards. It's just not the most difficult thing anymore, but people used to use it as like the definitive practice spell for a good reason. Alright, our next run of the day is going to be an SALMB with Marissa B. Not a standard shot type for SA, but a welcome one. Marissa B is a very potent shot type that can have the easiest stage sections, bar none. But to compensate, you are dealing with Marissa's hitbox, and Marissa still has a 7-pixel hitbox. I don't know if it was specifically the only one, but I remember that people used to say it was like very early in my first days in the community where people used to practice in VOWG a lot, and then it switched over to PDH and other stuff as the later games came out with more stupid RNG patterns. Modern Marissa 1 has the biggest hitbox in the series. Probably. The later games will switch over to a circular hitbox, but then the hitboxes will get the Marissa's hitboxes will get standardized down to 6-pixel diameter, or 3-pixel radius circular. So, bomb shoot razor obviously, but yeah, you grow bigger, obviously even bigger than that, but that really doesn't count. Okay, maybe you grow bigger because non-Reimu hitboxes grow exponentially way too big on that spell, but that's a one-spell quirk. Alright, give me a second. There we go. Alright, the run notes for this, the comment is just a moai emoji. It's also highlighted in pink for some reason, even though I don't think you're actually able to do that in a Google Forms. Strange. The skips are just the usual, so we'll be skipping past Yugi. So let's get into it. So like I was saying earlier, Marissa B is a very versatile shot type in this game. Marissa B's gimmick is that there are 5... nice backshot abuse. Marissa B has 5 shot types that she can switch between. The fire is the forward focus one, water is spread, wood is a diagonal firing, but it's also the highest damage when you're shotgunning. Then after that you have horizontally firing. I forget what it is, but it fires horizontally, which is very nice for stage section, so you can just speak your enemies like this. And finally you have the backshot, which I think might be Earth, and that is a very powerful DPS option if you're allowed to actually use it, which isn't very often, but it's a nice bonus. Now, Marissa B sports, bar none, the best stage performance in this game. It has the most... Did they just die to the static mid-spell? Oh my god. Marissa B has the most flexible and the easiest stage routes of all of the characters in this game. Oh, we should actually watch this because this spell is somewhat tricky without a small hitbox. Should kill it, yeah, there we go. That's nice. But to compensate for having such good stage performance, she has not very high boss damage. Now, if you're able to shotgun using the wood shot, you have very high boss damage, but from afar, your damage drops off quite tremendously, and that's the main difficulty of this shot. She has very good stage sections, and the stage sections in SA tend to be some of the most difficult parts of the game. But you know, the payoff, the drawback is then that you have some very challenging spell cards that, combined with the fact that you have Marissa's fat hitbox, are a lot more challenging than the other common shot types for LMB. But SALMB is also a category where you do get a lot of lives, because if you do decently on the bosses, you won't lose out on that many life pieces, and you can get a lot of life pieces in this game. You get 1 life piece for every boss pattern that you don't die to. So that adds up to quite a lot. Right, Woodshot is able to speed kill these turrets before they even fire off a single wave, which is, you know, very nice. Oh, I forgot to join the Discord call, did I? Give me a second. Hello. But yeah, you should be able to understand, you should be able to see quite clearly just how strong Marissa B can be in the stage sections. And her performance is going to excel in stage 5 as well. But stage 4 is really a massive improvement for her. Whereas all of the other characters, all of the other shot types would be dealing with streaming, restreaming, and fairly dense waves of patterned bullets. She has nothing to dodge. And it's going to matter even more in stage 5, yes. Now, her fat box, however, will disagree very heavily on these non-spells, where... Oh, backshot! What? Huh? Okay, that's... I didn't know you could do that, but that's very, very nice. That is a very nice, very nice strat there. But yes, those tight gaps, Marissa has more problems taking than with Reimu. A lot more problems. So anything to do with micro dodging and anything to do with tough boss patterns are going to be even worse. Now, Marissa B's Patrolly fight is not that challenging. Princess Undine is a spell that's normally restricted to normal, because the Burying Lake is a difficult pattern in EOST, but that's because of the bubbles, and they don't exist here, and the bubbles, even if they did, don't have the awkward hitboxes that they do in EOST. It's not easy per se, but it's not really that bad compared to some of the other Satori spells from other shot types. And yeah, Mercury Poison is slightly more difficult than EOST, I believe. But yeah, that is a very nice Satori fight. So we're gonna move on to stage 5 now with 7 lives, which is very, very good. Not shooting here is going to make this consistent, though really there's no need to. You can just shoot here, it's just aimed. No, they died to the stage 3 mid-boss spell. I think, yeah, that's an LN stage 4. This is a bit spooky, but okay. Oh? I knew that was gonna happen, just wow. Well, that's unfortunate, but it's alright. And now we have Orin. Now, there is a decision that all players have to make, and it depends on their shot type, and this non is static. It depends on the shot type that you're playing, but you can either choose to time down or kill the second mid-boss non-spell. if you time it down, you skip one of the most difficult spells in the entire game, Cat's Walk. It's very random, very dense, very difficult. But you have to face the post-mid-boss section here. And with any other shot type than Marissa, this would be a much closer, Marissa B specifically, this would be a much closer choice. Because other shot types will have to deal with a much denser wave of popcorn than this. The non is not static? Marissa A has an easy popcorn because it has a spread focus, and Reimu C can also angle the shots well enough to make it not too difficult. But I know that non can give hard overlaps, but generally if you move like ahead of time, shouldn't you be able to deal with that regardless? Oh well, I'm not too confident about that, but there are some shot types where the popcorn is arguably even more difficult than dealing with Cat's Walk. So that is a decision that players have to make when they reach there, and depending on the shot type, they really have to evaluate which one they're more comfortable with facing. And we're gonna move on to Orin now. Orin is a very patterned boss. There is one spell which is, I believe, fairly random and quite difficult. But the rest of it, with enough routing and practice, you should be able to take care of them just fine. The first non can be safe spotted and should be safe spotted in order to give yourself more time at the top of the screen to lure these zombie fairies upwards, so that you can then do this speed kill at the bottom. Doing the top safe spot here actually makes a lot of sense with this shot type because you have the back shot for a speed kill. But you can also do that safe spot just slightly below her. This spell is I want to say it's static. Safe spot? Alright. Nice. You don't have to safe spot this non, honestly though, because it's not that difficult to dodge at the bottom anyway. Okay, well... Wait, what? You can do that? Okay, that's really cool. What the hell? That is really cool. And that actually does shave off a couple seconds of this spell, which would otherwise be very difficult. Nice! And then the final here is speed kill strat. Because Orin loses her hitbox, you can sit directly on top of her and land both your main shot and your back shot on Orin at the same time, which allows you to do a lot of damage. It's the strongest damage that this shot type can output. So that's very nice. Yeah, shots that aren't Marissa B don't really have any ability to hit behind them, so it's not that necessary, but that is a very, very nice stage 5. One death on the first mid-boss non is more than excusable when you make up for it with that phenomenal Orin performance. Oh, the wood shotgun is stronger than that? Okay. One on... Wait, did they? Oh yeah, they did die at the beginning of the stage as well, yeah. They died while trying to move back to the middle on the starting Yin Yang orbs. I don't remember if they died another time, but this is more than well on pace for LMB clear. Blazing Wheel here is just left-right moving. Oh! I can sort of understand that with Marissa, but yeah, that's still yikes. You can actually speed kill those crows with the horizontal shot, and they can't fire anything, but that works as well. It's not an expected death for sure. It's generally a spell that people can capture fairly simply. Alright, Utsuho. Utsuho's first non is not difficult. And then we move into another pain point, UNR. Marissa B has some problems on this on this spell, sorry. You might generally you might want to stick to water because you're kind of just overwhelmed, and it's unlikely that you'll be under the boss to really do much damage with the fire shot anyway. So just sticking to water and trying not to die on this spell is probably more than enough. Oh, spooky! Ah! Could have probably stayed on the left a little more there and then waited for the gap to open up, but I'm not entirely sure if that gap would have opened up in time. And the sun speed is random there, so it is a very challenging spell card. Anyway, Marissa B gets to do this strat, which is every shot can do this, but Marissa B gets to speed kill it while doing this strat as well. Alright, Petal Flare. Now, Petal Flare is another spell where you're moving around a lot and the boss doesn't move that much, so it's probably good to stay in spread shot as well. Let's see if they get any awkward gaps. Not really so far, and they're getting to stay under Touhou for some good damage. Oh, a little spooky there, but that's fine. Nice. And then we have third non where you can actually just stick to the bottom of the screen, but it looks like they're preferring to stick a specific height away from Touhou because this non-spell is static. There's not that much left in the game that's particularly difficult, but there's still stuff that can absolutely kill you. This is not really one of them. This 10 Evil Suns has a line on which you can stand, and you can't get hit by either of the suns above or below you, which allows you to just focus on dodging these pink bullets. Final non-spell here is I don't really see this strat being used for this non-spell, but it works well enough for Marissa B because you can actually hit from the side. But you do have to be careful that you don't get sniped by one of the lanes. Nice. And then Hell's Tokamak. Nice spins! Nice spins. Hell's Tokamak is dodging from above and below, which it's not particularly difficult for LNB level play, but on nerfs this can still be terrifying, and especially considering that you're using Marissa's hitbox here. The gaps are not that tight, but it's less comfortable than with Reimu. Nice. And finally, Subterranean Sun. This is usually a very tame final spell, one of the easiest final spells in the series. But again, Marissa's hitbox can make some of these gaps a lot harder to take. So let's see if it happens. The gaps between the white pellets are random, so sometimes you'll be forced to dodge between, make a very tight micro dodge, and with Marissa's hitbox, it's going to be uncomfortable. But so far, so good. Nice. Okay, that's a good dodge to the left there. Oh, okay. Well, right at the end, but nice, very nice. GG. um, yeah, that's very, very well done. Marissa B's. I mean, that was a very good showcase of what Marissa B can do as a shot type. The stage sections are routed very well. Very few deaths to them, like only one, and the rest were to like boss patterns, which is understandable. Marissa B is a shot type that there are some players who like avidly recommend it because that this is exactly what it can do. I don't remember exactly how many minutes it is, honestly, but yeah, it's very, very well done regardless. And absolutely, like the broken parts about the shot type, the back shot, the wood shot, and the horizontal shots, they're situational, but when you can use them, they perform excellently. And I think we saw some very, very good strats here. Especially for stuff like the ghost wheel strat, that was something that I wasn't really expecting. I've never seen that before, but that was a very, very well done execution there. Alright, we're going to move on to our next run, which is TD LMBNT with Yomu. Oops. Can I type? Thank you. Oh, the sound is really low. Give me a second. I should probably be a little softer than that. Alright, let's let me load up the run and then we'll check the run notes. So this is NBNT. The usual, maybe watch SD for tragedy, it's not that... okay. LMVNT and overall second game I NB'd. This game made me believe in Yomu's supremacy. Now, Yomu is a very potent charge shot, but she is not a shot type that everyone can make good use of. And there are frequent debates in Discord servers over whether she's a very good... oh, what the... huh? Oh wait, no, sorry, forgot. That's not the scene I should be showing. Bleh. There we go. Yeah, I doped for a second and TD doesn't have HD support yet, so it's small. The resolution is overall smaller, so you have to use a different source for it and the big games and the HD games. But yeah, let's skip ahead to SDE. Why is my FPS at 1,000,000? Give me a second. There we go, that's better. Right, so Yomu's entire gimmick is that instead of a traditional focus shot, she has a charge. Now, she doesn't fire anything when she's charging, but when you actually finish the charge and you release it, she fires off these slashes in front of her. The more power you have, the more slashes there are, and the more vertical range you get. But these slashes are all very powerful. This means that she has very good stage performance, being able to take care of clusters of enemies easily, making some difficult stage sections like the end of stage 5 completely trivial. She also has very good boss DPS. It takes effort to use, sure, but her DPS is really not to be underestimated. If the slashes can reach the boss, then it's really quite a lot. And that's not to discount the unfocused shot as well. The unfocused shot itself is sort of like Morph Marissa A. The options trail behind you and they all fire forward, but it's a strong unfocused shot as well. So this is a very powerful shot type if you can learn to use it, and that's the key thing. The charge shot, as with many other gimmick shots in Touhou, are not for everyone. Some people are going to be good at using them and some people are not. So I would say that a charge shot like Yomu is absolutely worth learning to use because she makes so much— oh no! She makes so much of the game easier, and you can see in this case that they got hit. The death trance, the attack that you get during the trance is non-stop slashes, which is very high DPS as well, and that allows you to skip patterns as well. But if you learn to use her, then you will save yourself a lot of trouble. But if you aren't confident in using a charge shot, then there's nothing wrong with using the straightforward shots in TD as well. Marissa and Yomu are both— Marissa and Reimu, sorry. They are both standard straightforward shots that are also very powerful options for LMB. So this is— it's not a necessity to use a gimmick shot. It never really is in Touhou, but it's one of the gimmick shots who is so powerful that it is seriously worth considering. And yeah, Yomu can actually outdamage SD's healing if you are able to constantly slash. I'm missing all of the bomb fairies here, but whatever. It's it's just a little thing. It actually makes the dodging more difficult, arguably, so I can understand that. You're not bombing anyway, so it really doesn't matter. Now, Yomu is not without her weaknesses. She is very powerful in situations where her slashes can reach the boss, and situations where stage sections are packs of decently tough enemies that come in waves, and you're able to murder them very quickly. She is weaker to hordes of rushing enemies, which is right after this. And she is weaker when you are not really able to hit your slashes on the bosses, which actually happened earlier on the mid-boss. You can notice that earlier that Sega was so high on the screen that only one particular slash was able to hit Sega, which meant that you're not really doing much damage at all. In fact, the amount of damage you're doing is arguably even worse than the Sanae, unless you're unfocusing. And for weaknesses, this is one of hers. If you're not able to keep your options spread out, then you actually have very little horizontal range. So that can end up making that spam section earlier a little trickier than it really is with other characters. Almost got hit by that bullet. Now we're gonna time this out to make sure that no other fairies spawn. That's good. And then we have Sega. Now, compared to the earlier stage section where she struggled somewhat, Yomu has— what is this, dodging? You really do not want to be in the side there. Yomu has some of the easiest has arguably the easiest Sega boss fight of all of the characters. This is because her slashes can hit pretty much the entire screen, and while that's not really relevant for many bosses in the game, it can be very useful on Sega's spell cards. Timeout strat here is respectable. But basically, the slashes are able to hit both Sega and Yoshika, and on one particular pattern that's a bad thing, but you are able to do so much damage to both of them, and killing Yoshika notably causes Sega to basically causes the entire pattern to be delayed, as Sega slowly moves in, resurrects Yoshika, and then continues the pattern. if you're able to kill Yoshika off really quickly, then you don't have to do any of the pattern really. And this is the pattern where you actually don't want to kill Yoshika, because it's quite infamous that Sega will fire off a really crazy fast dense barrage of knives if you kill Yoshika on this non-spell. So this is the one non-spell where you actually want to avoid killing Yoshika as much as possible. Very nice. And the final, again, because Yomu's slashes are able to reach and hit Yoshika, Yoshika will actually be taken out in a reasonably short period of time like that. And then the spell is not doing anything for like a good 2 slashes and it dies. So that's not really a luxury you get of any other shot type. Accordingly, that's also the reason why for facing Sega's Overdrive spell card, Yomu is considered to be the best shot type. And here we see another case where Yomu really excels, as she's able to kill these fairies before they get to do anything, without really even trying. Keep that in mind, because that is going to apply at the very end of the stage. Alright, Tojiko mid-boss. The non-spell is trivial. And the spell itself is... I want to say static. I'm not entirely confident on that, but it's not that difficult once you learn how to read it. Nice. And from there, you have these you have these enemies that normally take a while to kill, but you know, the slashes do their thing. And this is the final section, where the slashes really just kill these enemies really quickly. And then, oh my god, what the fuck? No, 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 no. Oops. Yes, the final wave spawns really fast if you speed kill the previous wave, and then that can happen. Anyway, Fudo fight. Fudo had not that challenging. Alright, good misdirect on the boat. If you're up to the top left corner of Fudo at the start of that spell, then she'll move the boat upwards, which gives you a lot more space to dodge, and you can then speed kill the rest of it. This second non is a little more awkward to dodge, but nice. And then second spell is kind of just random dodging. There are misdirect strats that you can do on it, as they're doing somewhat here to reduce the amount that they have to dodge. But other than that, just very straightforward. Third non. Yomu's bolt is much better than Reimu's, but against Marissa, I'm not too sure should be better as well. That's an unfortunate hit though. But at least they get to skip that spell. And then we have the final, and this is actually a place where Yomu can somewhat struggle, because the slashes aren't always able to hit the boss a lot. But it's more relevant near the very end of the spell, because as it transitions into random spam from this like easy pattern, you will ideally want to be able to speed kill it before too much happens, which Yomu isn't really able to do, so you will be forced to deal with a little bit of random spam. But nice. Yeah, 3 power is the main issue there. With 4 power you have more vertical range and more slashes, so that problem would be mostly averted. If you really don't want to deal with the spam, then you can time it out, yes. Six's gimmick is that most of the enemies in the stage, and accordingly the resources in the stage after this yin yang section, they all spawn in trains, led by a death fairy, well not death fairy, led by a large fairy, and followed by a train of spirits. If you want to get any bomb and life pieces, you need to kill the spirits and not the fairies themselves, because killing the fairies will instantly destroy all of the spirits behind them, which means that you do not get any resources out of them. Now if you want to get the 2 life pieces, was it 2 or 4? I think it was 4. If you want to get the life pieces out of the fairies, then you need to make sure that your slash doesn't connect with the main fairies themselves. Like that. One more? Alright, wasn't quite able to get them, but that's alright. This will be more than enough life pieces to get the final extend. And that means that we have about 3 left for Miko. 3 lives left for Miko. Now, Miko is actually another point where Yomu can struggle with, because these non-spells are micro-dodging hell, and you will want to stay near the bottom of the screen where your damage potential will be somewhat limited. First spell is a random dense spam, but it's fine. Second non onwards is where these non-spells actually get quite challenging. Oh my god, these dodges! Eee, that's nasty. I saw about 3 times that you almost moved into a bullet, but okay. Second spell is patterned, really not difficult. Nice. Third non. Yeah, the second wave got a little scary there, but this non-spell is oh well. I wanted to say that it's not really as dense as the second non, but anyway, Chaotic Dance is a bit of an awkward spell, but because of the death, they'll be able to skip it completely. And then the final non-spell, generally not that difficult. Uh, it's intimidating, but it's at this point, at this level, they're able to read and dodge it fairly easily. And then I forgot what this spell is called, but this is just spinning. Nice. Goose Flash. Your slashes really don't do much damage here, so you... Well, not only do you want to stay unfocused, because, you know, movement, but your unfocused will also be able to do a lot more damage than your focus shot here. Nice cap. And now Defiance. Defiance is a big weakness for Yomu. At the bottom of the screen, again, the slashes don't really connect that well, so you want to... Not only are you dealing with bad RNG, but if you want to move up for slash damage, then you're dealing with much denser waves, and yeah. But with 2 lives remaining, this should be an easy 1cc in the bag. 1cc? No, this should be an easy no bomb, no trance clear in the bag. Alright, you want to time this transition such that you don't deal with a very awkward wave like that? I don't think that was really a well done transition, I'll be honest, but okay. Yeah, that transition was completely fucked, I'll be honest. But that's it. GG. Oh, the charge aura got glitched. Yeah, nice run. Yomu is a very powerful shot type in this game, like I said too many times already, but it's not a shot type that everyone's able to use, but if you can use it, then you skip a bunch of what would you skip or make easier a bunch of what would otherwise be difficult components of the game. The end of stage 5, even though they accidentally made it more difficult than it should have been, other shot types like Reimu in particular struggle really badly on that, because their damage is weak and they can't really kill off the fairies quickly enough, so they can get overwhelmed by the sheer number of walls that are being spawned. But Yomu gets to just speed kill everything, so yeah. Alright. We have, I believe, one more run for the day, and it is a YouTube video, which I did not calibrate before this, so give me a second to change the run info, then I'll do that. But it's been a while since we've had a shown a fan game run on TRS. And this is probably still bar none. This is HBC on Tri Ultra. It is bar none still the most popular fan game submission on TRS. I don't really know why it's so popular, but it is one of the most well-known fan games, I'd say. Certainly a very pretty one. We will be fast forwarding through stage 4 because it's way too long and very boring. But we'll also be just speeding through the early game as well. So give me a second when I set this up. Yeah, good enough. That'll do. Alright. Here. Now, FDF2 is a game that is based very heavily off of PCB. So the bosses will largely be the same as PCBs, just in different orders. And the mechanic is inspired by PCB as well. I say that. There are no point items in this game. Enemies will only drop either power items when you're below max power, or cherry items once you're at max power. The cherry items themselves act as point items anyway, but they will also fill the gauge at the bottom left of the screen, which is also filled by grazing. That gauge is the cherry gauge, and like a PCB, once you fill it up, you'll get a border. When you fill up the gauge and you activate the border, the gauge itself will start draining. But you can extend the gauge by collecting cherry items and grazing, and that will allow you to actually regain parts of the gauge. Now, the drain rate is not... The drain rate is large enough that you have to work a little bit to extend it, but not that much. And by extending, you will, if you enough time passes in the border being active, then the border will extend. You can see that it kind of levels up and it'll like develop. So this is a level 3 border, and you can see the edge of the border like becomes a lot fancier. Once it reaches level 3, then the border will no longer be refillable, so it will automatically drain down to 0, and then you're forced to reset your progress on that and fill up the gauge again to activate the second border. Resource gain in this game is in order... Oh, fuck, the sound... Right, give me a second, sorry. The resource gain from the borders is in order bomb pieces, and life pieces. And the exact amount of pieces that you get is based on the level of the border, which means that maximum you can get 3 pieces from a border. Now, this is not really relevant for this run because this is a no miss no bomb run, but I don't believe that they stated that this is a no border break run, which will probably be the only mistakes that this run makes. Border breaks are... They don't deny you of the resources in this game, which is why this is one of the most generous fan games out there. You can easily get a lot of resources without much effort. And if you want, you can even actively cycle the borders such that you avoid getting too many bomb pieces, and you get as many life pieces as you can. This game gives you a lot of resources to work with. And bullet cancels, either from bombing or from defeating boss patterns, they will all also fill up the cherry gauge, so your border gain, you get a lot of borders in this game. It's not like PCB where you get a couple borders and then in, for instance, PCB LMB, you have a couple borders here and there that you might be able to break, or in the case of no release, you have a couple borders that you want to avoid breaking. This game, the borders will come like pretty much every other boss pattern, and if you work a little bit for it, you'll get them much more frequently as well. Now, the shot types in this game, Reimu, Marisa, Sanai, and Yomu. Yomu is a charge shot. We saw earlier TD Yomu's charge shot, but the charge shot in this game works a little differently. If you release your charge shot when unfocused, then it acts... Basically, Yomu's charge shot in this game it charges no matter whether you're focused or unfocused, which means that there is only... she will only fire her main shot, of which she actually does fire a main shot when she's charging in this game. But that's the only shot that she'll fire when you're holding down the Z button. When you release your charge by releasing the Z button, it's dependent on whether or not you're focused or unfocused. If you're unfocused, then the shot release will do several horizontal slashes up the screen, similar to what we saw earlier in TD. But if you do it when focused, then it'll do a concentrated vertical slashes aligning to your horizontal position. So that is Yomu's shot in this game. I believe that they turned off the stage background. There are usually stage backgrounds and they're quite pretty, but maybe the game lags with it or something. But Yomu is a charge shot that on game release didn't even really do that much damage, so they made the charging easier and they buffed her damage fairly quickly. And she's a competent charge shot, but not a very convenient one to use because unlike Yomu in TD, the stages in this game don't really play that well into a charge shot, and she's really not necessary when you have very decent, perfectly competent shots like Reimu. Now Reimu's damage is not very high. Not terrible, mind you, just not very high, but she has very good homing, and that makes her stage performance very easy, very good. And her boss performance is not awful, though it could be better. Marissa is a forward-focused shot where it's extremely forward-focused in the sense that her focus shot is literally one thin laser in front of her, like she has no range pretty much. But her unfocused has a little bit more range than that, so it's a very forward-focused oriented shot type that you will want to have to learn the stages to make good use of her. Otherwise, her boss performance is quite good. The final shot type Sanai is a dumpster fire, very weak damage, has splash damage that's really not relevant. Yeah. Now we haven't really seen that many unique bullets so far, but they have appeared from every boss, so the FDF series is known for introducing a very different kind of art style than regular Touhou. It has its standard bullets, you saw plenty of them earlier, but it also likes to use a lot of very realistic looking bullets, and a lot of weirdly shaped bullets as well. And one of the biggest complaints, one of the most common complaints that this game receives is there's so many different kinds of bullets, and I have no idea where the hitbox is. Well, I can tell you right now that the hitboxes in this game are extremely generous. These flower bullets that you're seeing, the hitbox is just the center of them. So all of that extra space that they take up is just for show, it's just decorative. Only the middle of them actually constitutes the hitbox, and as such, this game is actually very generous in its hit detection. Oh, that's a bad border break. But they were going for a no-miss run, so it's understandable. Now, this game was not made in Danmaku, nor was it made in lower STG. It's actually a different engine that I believe that the engine... I'm not entirely sure the specifics of the engine, but the scripting was done in Crazy Storm, which is... I looked it up. I think it's meant for particle effects more than Danmaku, but it works the same regardless. Yeah, this can be safe spotted, by the way. Alright, we're gonna stop the fast forward once we reach Lily. Oh, I just spotted the boss. Well, the boss is Lily White, not the Prism Rivers. They're nowhere to be seen. There's usually a very pretty background here for you to just sit and, I guess, admire for a couple seconds, but no background. But yeah, this game's engine is its unique thing, and as such, it's not actually HD resolution. But regardless, because of the art style of this game and because it places so much emphasis on backgrounds and particle effects, It's generally considered to be a very pretty fan game, and it's pretty much notorious for that, most famous for that. Okay, that's not the right gap to take. What this game has in aesthetics, and general creativity in the themes that it uses, it's ended up having sort of a bad rap over its gameplay. I'd say that the gameplay has ended up being kind of boring. It's really easy. Like, obviously the systems are generous. You can see how many resources they have right now. And as such, it's a really easy game to get into, and it's the kind of game that anyone can buy. It's a paid game. Anyone can buy, pick up, and play without much issue. But for high-level players or players who are looking for a challenge, there's not that much in this game. There are a few things here and there which are a little spooky, but it's really nowhere near the level of even the main game titles. So the slow pace of the stages and the relatively easy, people would even describe boring nature of the boss fights has resulted in this game's gameplay not being very fondly remembered. But unquestionably, the aesthetic presentation works, and it is the most popular fan game submission on TRS by far. Some of the bosses are insane. I'm not sure about that. There are some spooky patterns, but most of the patterns are actually not that difficult because of the hitboxes. And many of the difficult patterns per se, many of the patterns are more so just blind killer than difficult. Like, when Perma was going for LNN of this game, I think he even got it accidentally on like his first or second try. If you're thinking of, for instance, Ran as a difficult part of the game, Ran's non-spells are static. And they actually did nerf the non-spells in a subsequent update. Lily and Yuko? Lily has like one pattern that's really difficult, but the rest of it I'd say is more just like hitbox shenanigans, because if you're not comfortable or if you're not aware of just how small the hitboxes can be, then they can be much scarier to dodge. But I mean, you saw earlier that they weave between the candy bullets, like it's really not a big hitbox at all. Yuyuko, I'll be honest, I can't think of anything that's actually that difficult on Yuyuko right now. It's been a while since I can't remember everything, but I think pretty much only her final. And even then, it's another case of hitbox shenanigans. We will see the worst case of hitbox misrepresentation, or rather just hitbox deception, once we reach that point. But for now, stage 5 is fairly tame, fairly straightforward. This is a pretty cute reference to one of Ran's and Yukari's patterns. I don't remember the name anymore right now though. But here's Ran, and this is where you start seeing some bullets, which you might even not notice that there were bullets. That's not the background. Those squares have hitboxes. the inside of the square specifically have hitboxes. And now we see Ran's non-spells. They are static. This first spell is an absolute joke. It is supposed to be similar to Ran's first spell, but it's just streaming. I don't understand why this spell ended up like this. Second non is static as well, all of them are. I mean, Ran's first spell was also like this, yes, but this is a Lunatic Stage 5 boss, not an extra, not PCB extra. Alright, this spell is quite uncomfortable. These squares, you saw earlier, I told you earlier they had hitboxes. Now the hitbox is even more obvious because they have lasers around them. But basically you have to do this square movement while also dodging these, I believe they are aimed circular rings. This is actually a fairly tricky pattern, but it's one that you can route. Another static non-spell. And we move on to this spell, which is very awkward. Now, really all you have to do is to align yourself with the grid correctly. But the idea of the spell is just you have to avoid moving into these squares as they expand. Now, they're not guaranteed to kill you if you stand inside the squares as they expand, but there are actually little lightning bullets that appear inside the square that can randomly kill you. But once you understand how to do that spell, it's completely trivial, so bleh. Now, this is a super blind killer survival. You can see that the game is forcing you into this little dark square here. Now, this is the only place in the entire screen that's safe to stand right now, and it's constantly moving. Where is it moving to? Well, it's telepathed by the glowing box that's right next to it. So basically you'll have to move along with this dark square as it moves along the path of the glowing box. But it's not exactly a very difficult thing to do because the only bullets here are just this rather tame curtain that's moving straight down. And you can see that they are clinging quite close to the edge here. The hitboxes are not that unforgiving. You can't even just stand there and yeah, you'll be safe. And now the middle appears to be dark, but actually the sides have lost their hitbox as well. So the entire screen is actually safe. And now the last phase of Ran and Yukari survival kicks in, but it's even easier than Ran and Yukari survival because you have so much more screen space to work with. They got hit regardless. Wow. Whoops. Yeah, I know. It doesn't make much intuitive sense, but the entire screen is actually safe on the final phase there. Alright, stage 6 now. Stage 6 is loosely based off of stage 6 spam, but obviously a lot easier. Normally the background of this stage is absolutely stunning, but you can't see it. That's a shame. And look who it is, it's the stage 1 boss. FDF1 also did this, where the stage 1 boss, which is an original character, shows up as a stage 6 mid-boss and pulls off some pretty wacky mid-boss spell. And you are about to see what it does. But this is a very... Okay, well that's very bad RNG, but... Usually this is not a difficult non-spell. Yep, another screen transformation gimmick, but this is actually not a timeout spell, you still have to shoot. But this is not a very difficult spell card regardless. There we go. And you can see that they are holding 10 lives and bombs. Was it FDF1 where Reimu was bad? Both FDF1 and 2 have Reimu that isn't very good in boss damage, but like usable. But Reimu is definitely like very noticeably weak in FDF1, I would say. FDF1's earlier versions also had like kind of crazy difficulty, so that was actually important. But they nerfed a good majority of FDF1 in the updates when they released it on Steam, so... meh. That spell is 80 seconds long, I don't know why, but they decided to add like a timeout phase to that spell. Where if you let the spell go for long enough, then instead of the random spam of falling stars, then you end up having a patterned wave of bullets from the boss itself that's actually even easier to dodge than the random spam. Yeah, don't ask. Anyway, Yuyuko. Butterfly bullets, the hitbox is obvious there, but we are about to see a bunch of other bullets on Yuyuko that are actually very deceptive on their actual hitbox. For instance, these butterfly bullets, their hitbox is actually sort of just a dot in the middle of them. The lantern bullets are a little bigger, but not by much. They're sort of like a small circle. And these giant flower bullets, again, only the very center of them are a hitbox. So even though it looks insane, these are all tiny bullets, and you can tell by that dodge earlier that that really is not a big hitbox at all. These pinwheels, I don't remember the specifics, but I believe it's also the middle as well. But these pinwheels have rather awkward movements, which sometimes can surprise you, so this is generally a one spell that you want to be careful on. I am not sure what the point of this spell's lines are, if the bullets are just going to move straight down. But again, hitbox is tiny on these balls, but that was also a very uncomfortable dodge that they probably shouldn't have been forced into making. They could have moved out of the way earlier, but regardless, not a particularly difficult pattern. I believe this should be the red non-spell, yes it is. I recall this one being actually somewhat difficult. And yes, it's because of these. Now, one thing I haven't addressed the whole game yet, the grace box in this game and the updated version of FDF1 are ridiculously huge, like way bigger than the character sprite. So you'll see that they're grazing and hearing the graze sound effect even though they're like not really that close to the bullets. It's because they're grazing like from a mile away. This spell, the Daruma move in a weird-ish way, but it's really not difficult. And then the pink non-spell. I remember this one being somewhat difficult as well, because it's actually quite dense, and even if the bullets are small, they can still be awkward. And this is the biggest case of hitbox deception. Those flowers are huge. The hitbox is literally the dot in the middle of them. And you will see them again on the following spell, where they will move in from the sides of the screen, and it looks terrifying until you realize again, the hitbox is a tiny dot in the middle of them. Their hitbox is smaller than the other double ring bullets. And you can see right there, they move almost through the pedals and was perfectly fine. Alright, this pattern is somewhat unique, where you actually have to move upwards. You can see that there's a circular thing around the sole there moving upwards. You have to go and get it back, touch that ring before it reaches the top of the screen and usually slashes down. Because if you let it move up there and Yuko slashes it, then you die instantly. So that's the gimmick. But it's also not a very challenging spell once you learn how to make the dashes. And it's dead. Final spell is a survival. It's just random. There's not much you can do on this other than pray. Sometimes you can get very bad RNG, but generally I don't think it's that bad. It can get very bad, and it's definitely visually extremely badly cluttered, but again, the hitboxes are tiny and very forgiving, so unless you get very, very bad RNG, you should be fine. Of course, there needs to be an RB, but it's not a timeout, it's an actual shoot-down spell, and it has more cases of hitbox deception. Once again, those giant cherry flowers from earlier show up. Their hitbox is still only a tiny dot, but unless you know that, it's going to be terrifying. You have to stay somewhat in the middle of the screen, otherwise you can get hit by the fans. And then these lanes of amulets will start showing up. Once again, I really do believe that this is more a case of just visual clutter making this pattern difficult than actual difficulty. Because these flowers are huge and they can really obscure the way of other bullets, but this is a very long spell card regardless. So you have to deal with a lot of waves of this. Ooh! Ah! That's unfortunate. Could have moved out of the way of the butterfly, but... eh. I think that a lot of the difficulty is attributed to mostly just hitbox deception, I'll be completely honest, because this is not actually a very difficult fan game. As a whole, really. So yeah, GG. Very, very nice run there. Clearly they knew what they were doing, but I think they really grinded this for a while. Couple of border breaks here and there were a bit unfortunate, but it's like... They clearly could grind for like LNN if they wanted to. So yeah, GG's on that. I'll take this chance to also plug the fact that this game received an unofficial ultra patch by Bender, and that ultra patch actually makes the patterns a lot more difficult. which at this point it's like the only way I can really play this game anymore because the base game itself is just a bit too boring for my taste, but that's my personal opinion. So yeah, FDF2, always a very pretty game to look at, even without the backgrounds, the particle effects, the visual art style of the bullets themselves are very, very good. And yes, James is correct. This received an extra arcade release in Japan. There is an actual arcade cabinet of FDF2 in Japan somewhere, and people have been playing it. Now, what the arcade version did was that it made the border gauge system a lot stricter to use. The drain rate of the border gauge is a lot faster in the arcade releases, which means that you have to put active effort into extending it and time the borders correctly in order to get any resources more than just one pieces out of them. But I believe that the resource system was tweaked after people complained really hard about the overwhelming difficulty of its beta testing. I can't remember the specifics now, but I believe that the resource system was tweaked and the game is still more difficult resource wise, and you're also playing on a stick, which I'd say a lot of Touhou players are not that used to. But yeah, it did receive an arcade release, and that is kind of cool. So yeah, that's FDF2. Once again, it's a paid game on Steam. If you saw that and you're interested in playing it yourself, I wouldn't say it's a bad fan game at all. I'd say that it's worth experiencing, probably. And it's definitely very beginner friendly, so if you're like scared off by high difficulty fan games and stuff like that, this game is definitely a very good start. But again, it is a paid game, it's not very cheap, so consider whether or not you want to buy it. And with how old it is at this point, there are so many videos of this game out there already. But yeah, arcade version has voice acting. Oh yeah, it does. It's funny, but it does have voice acting. Oh, that's right. The arcade version also changes easy mode to. Oh god, I forgot what it was, but it's like a really like stupid name. Hold on, let me look it up because there was like frequent discussion of this in FNC before. Ah, yes, they changed easy mode to kids mode. It's still easy mode, but I don't know why they call it kids mode. Yeah. That's right. So the resource system was changed to be significantly stricter than it is right now. You can see that in this run earlier. If I just rewind it a little bit, they cleared the game with 10 lives and 10 bombs in stock, right? And that's because the borders gave a ton of resources. In the arcade version, a level 1 border gives you no resources at all. A level 2 border gives you 1 bomb piece, and a level 3 border gives you 2 bomb pieces. You don't get life pieces from borders anymore. Instead, beating one boss, like clearing one stage, gives you 2 life pieces. Which means that you only get 4 lives for the whole game. What? It's a kind of a far cry from what this game is right now. From what you're seeing on screen right now. So yeah, the arcade version is significantly stricter than the Steam release. 4 lives total for the whole game, yes. And bombs are harder to earn as well. Mind you, they didn't touch the difficulty of the actual game itself at all. Like, the patterns are identical. So the game is still as easy as what we just saw, but the resources are a lot tighter. And the borders are they drain a lot faster. So yeah, that's FDF2 Arcade. Just a brief explanation. Even though at this point, I did see recently on Twitter there were some people scoring it, but yeah, it's at this point it's just a thing that has happened. So yeah, that's all we have for TRS today. Thank you guys for coming down to watch, and next week we'll be back to regularly scheduled programming. We took a bit of a break for Christmas and New Year's, but after a break, it's been nice, taking some time off to make things fresh when we come back. Next Saturday, Gastari should still be back with his usual antics, and we'll be back with more runs to show on TRS. If you haven't already, we have a Discord server that you can join. The Discord server should be linked by Nightbot earlier. Let me go ahead and copy it as well. Yep, that's our Discord server. If you have submitted a run and you would like to make any amendments to it, or you would like to make any special requests regarding the submission, there is the TRS Inquiries channel within the server where you can post requests for your run. Whether it be replacing your run with a different replay, or removing your run, asking for it to be shown on Saturday or Sunday, or asking it to be shown at a later point in time, or pretty much asking it to be delayed. That's all right. For those of you who don't know, we have reverted back to monthly submission limit from 2 months. So every month you are now able to submit a replay, and we should have the capability to go through the queue in timely manner compared to before. Though the queue has backed up again. It is the start of January, so that's to be expected from the flood of January submissions, but we'll try to get through it quickly. And yeah, that's all for TRS today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.